Hi, I'd like to start this video by taking accountability for everything I've ever done and everything I ever will do. If I've ever offended you in the past, or right now, or in the future if I offend you, just know that I'm taking accountability for that right now. Now that that's out of the way, welcome. If you're new here, my name is Caroline, and if you're not new here, my name is still Caroline. I make internet content, and today's content is going to be in the style of video essay, and today's topic is going to be TikTok and accountability culture. Before we get into what accountability culture is, we need to get into what TikTok is and how its all-powerful, all-knowing algorithm makes it so different from other social media apps and websites. Though other social media websites use algorithmically recommended content, no app features algorithmically recommended content the way that TikTok does. On TikTok, the For You page is the star. You are intended to simply scroll through the For You page. Yes, you can scroll through people that you follow or your friends, but the For You page is the draw of TikTok. The TikTok algorithm was designed with one goal in mind: to keep you on the app for as long as possible. And I would say that it's pretty successful by that metric. According to leaked advertising data from 2020, TikTok users spend an average of an hour and 30 minutes a day scrolling through the app. TikTok does not care if you're happy scrolling or sad scrolling or angry scrolling. It just cares that you're scrolling, and it shows you the content that you linger on the most, which isn't always the healthiest content for you. For example, if you struggle with an eating disorder, TikTok might notice that you linger on what I eat in a day videos that detail the number of calories that that person has eaten in a day, and it may continue to show you more of those, whether you're lingering because you feel compelled to linger or you're lingering because you find that interesting and informative. It doesn't distinguish between those two, and a lot of people have reported that their eating disorders in particular have really been exacerbated by TikTok. Of course, that's an extreme example of how TikTok can send people videos that are personally harmful to them. But apart from harmful videos, a lot of the videos that the algorithm will recommend to you just simply don't make you feel good. It is not the goal of TikTok's algorithm to make you feel good. Again, it's just to keep you on the app. And sometimes the things that keep you on the app are just emotionally charged things, no matter what the reason for all that emotion is. Some of the most popular content on TikTok is the content that invites us to gawk, to collectively stop and stare at someone who is falling apart, whether we're staring out of pity or revulsion, or shock, or a sense of superiority, thinking that could never be us. We would never get on the internet and cry in front of millions of strangers. We like to watch people who are dramatic and unpredictable, the same way we like to watch those types of people on reality TV. So TikTok's algorithm completely reshaped the way that we consume content. It shows us videos that we never would have sought out on our own, and in fact, it shows us videos that we would have actively avoided had we been curating our own feed. But it also has a huge impact on the way that we create content. TikTok is like the lottery. Anybody can go viral. A lot of viral videos are the very first video that account posted. Somebody just saw something that they thought was so important or amazing or hilarious that they had to film it and they had to share it. So they create an account to share that specific video, and it goes viral. TikTok wants you to dream of being an influencer. It wants you to feel like that dream is accessible to you. The people who post TikToks about how to do TikTok always say that you should post TikToks 3 to 5 times a week, and they're kind of right, and that consistency is key on TikTok. If you are consistent, it does not matter if you are talented or if you even have something to say or not, you can grow a following and you can become a micro-influencer. Now, does that mean that you're going to be able to quit your job? No, not at all. And anybody that tells you that at 10,000 followers you could be making $10,000 a month is lying to you. So a lot of people are making TikToks not because they feel compelled to create, but out of a sense of loss aversion. The same way people say you've got to play to win about the lottery and genuinely believe that the one time that they don't buy a lottery ticket would have been the time that they would have won the lottery. There are people that think that way about TikTok and are simply playing because they feel like they could be missing out on something big if they don't play. So if you start TikTok with no clear point of view and no real vision in mind for what you want your page to look like, the numbers are probably going to have a huge impact on what you're making. You throw a bunch of things at the wall, you see what sticks, you see what has good analytics, and you try to replicate whatever it was about that video that made people interested. But even if you start TikTok with the clearest vision in the world of what you're doing and why you're on the app, it's nearly impossible to not let the analytics, the numbers, affect what you're making. Let's say you have a cooking channel, and one day something in your personal life ticks you off, and so in the spur of the moment you record a rant video. And that video does 10, 20, 30 times better than anything you've ever posted before. And a bunch of people follow you specifically from that video. And they're not there for cooking content. They are there for more rants. So that loss aversion kicks in and you start making what you think the people want. That loss aversion can also kick in when it comes to things that are topical. It can feel like you can't afford not to make a video about that thing. For example, either this year or the year before, that OceanGate submarine implosion happened, and everybody was making videos about it, and most people were saying the exact same thing. It's very easy to feel like everybody's talking about this thing, so I need to chime in, even if I don't have anything new to add to the conversation. But TikTok tends to create its own version of current events that don't seem to matter anywhere else. Sometimes the hot topic of the day is not a news event, it is a person who has committed some perceived wrong and is now being called out or called in by hundreds of people. Which brings me to today's topic, which is accountability culture on TikTok. Let's first talk about cancel culture and how it's different from accountability culture. A lot of people associate criticizing cancel culture with the far right. When the far right talk about cancel culture, they're talking about liberal snowflakes who get offended at offensive jokes and the fact that they can't say the N-word anymore without repercussions. But those same people boycotted their favorite beer brand for months because that brand dared pay one trans woman to do a promotional post on her personal page. I would argue that there's cancel culture across the political spectrum. It's just that the offense that you could be canceled over depends on the morals of who's judging you. The word cancel has a finality to it. When somebody calls for somebody else to be canceled, they usually want them to lose their livelihood and potentially be socially ostracized for the rest of their lives. When someone calls for somebody else to be canceled, they usually believe that they have done something indefensible and irredeemable. So while the canceled party may apologize, that's not usually the goal of somebody being canceled. The goal is to get the public to withdraw their support for that person. And there's usually nothing that that person can say to make it better if you're one of the people that believe they should be canceled. Which brings me to accountability culture, which I define differently than cancel culture. Like I said, cancel culture isn't really interested in an apology as much as it's interested in changing the public perception of an individual, whereas accountability culture is very much interested in an apology. It claims and feels gentler than cancel culture because you are not just throwing the person away, you are calling them in. because you believe in them and you believe in their ability to do better. And you want to keep your parasocial relationship with that person, but they have to do better for you to feel good about keeping that relationship. The bar for being held accountable for something is a lot lower than the bar for being canceled for something. In accountability culture, unlike in cancel culture, you can be held accountable, a celebrity or influencer can be held accountable for the lack of action, for not doing a thing that somebody perceives they should have done, whereas people primarily get canceled for an action. Accountability culture is kind of fixated on the question of what influencers owe us and the world. What responsibility does having a platform mean you have? A lot of people think that having a platform means that you have a responsibility to speak out on political and moral issues, no matter what you built your platform on. The videos that take that stance often come off as having this air of moral superiority. I'm not sure how you could critique someone else for their lack of activism without having a tone of moral superiority. The thing that frightens me about accountability culture is how sure everybody seems that they're doing the morally righteous thing by participating in accountability culture. No matter how frivolous or personal or petty the complaint is, the person who is being called in is expected to respond with humility and remorse. People respond to confidence, and when someone confidently tells you that this person needs to apologize, a lot of us won't question that. It takes critical judgment and discernment to notice when a criticism isn't actually all that valid, and a lot of us turn off our discernment when we're scrolling through TikTok. Like I said before, we spend a lot of time on the app with the average user, scrolling for an hour and a half a day, and a lot of people scrolling for a lot more than that, and that tends to make you numb. There have been times where I automatically liked a video before it even started because I just assumed I would agree with it because of who made the video and because I respected the person who made the video. There have been times where I've seen a video that I disagreed with, and then I immediately searched to see if anybody had made a video stating the opinions that I already had. And when I started to notice that pattern of if I see a video I disagree with, I immediately try to find a video that also disagrees, I started to notice that my time on TikTok had made me trust my own sense of judgment less. TikTok's algorithm can act like a mirror, reflecting your own worldview back at you. And it can also, like I said before, reflect your insecurities back at you, but not everybody's insecurities are purely physical. A lot of empathetic people are insecure about their contribution to the world and whether or not they're a good person. Accountability videos invite those people to feel like they're taking action simply by interacting with that video. They make it feel like they are helping people by pressuring somebody else to help people, and they allow people to feel morally superior whether or not they've earned that moral superiority. A lot of the people who make call-out videos do have a platform of some size, though that platform is often smaller than the person that they're calling out, and there is a benefit in terms of growing your platform to calling out someone with a bigger platform because more people are searching for their name than are searching for your name. But I digress. Many of the people that are participating in the comment sections, however, do not have a platform at all and are commenting from anonymous private accounts. So when they say they would do XYZ if they were in this influencer's position, they are speaking from a place of pure speculation. Many call-in videos operate under the assumption that everybody has access to and knowledge of the same information. And this can show up in a couple of different ways. One is the assumption that if somebody has been tagged in a video, they have seen that video. And if they haven't responded, it is because they are actively ignoring criticism. I don't check my tagged videos. Not everybody that has social media is constantly checking their tagged videos, particularly if they get tagged in things all the time. The assumption that if it's important to you and if you have said, hey, look at me, I'm talking about this, that means that person has heard you is just incorrect. The second assumption I see a lot is that everybody who has a platform on social media is spending a lot of time on social media outside of posting, that they are aware of everything that everybody else is saying about everything. I don't spend any time on TikTok anymore. I don't spend any time on social media at all anymore. I find that I am the best creator I can be when I simply post my stuff and leave, ghost, go away. I don't scroll through my FYP anymore because I found that it was not good for my brain. So just because somebody's job is to post videos doesn't mean that they are treating scrolling through videos like their job. The third assumption that I see a lot is that if you have seen a topic discussed extensively on your For You page, that everybody has seen that topic discussed extensively on their For You page. I can't emphasize enough how vast TikTok is, how I can do a very similar thing to somebody else and have a very similar number of followers and never come across their stuff on my For You page. Somebody's For You page cannot have a single video in common with yours. If you are somebody who is really politically minded, yes, you will probably see a lot of political videos, a lot of social justice videos on your For You page. My For You page is certainly filled with social justice videos because that's a topic that's interesting to me. But this assumption that everybody has that type of content on their For You page is just inaccurate. A lot of people's For You page is just dancing and babies. Some people might argue that call-in videos are not about that person in particular. They're about illustrating a broader issue by using that person as an example. And if you truly believe that that's what you're doing when you make call-in videos, I do want to tell you that there is a word for that. It's called scapegoating, and it's bad. Whenever somebody voices concern that perhaps the criticism has gone too far, that perhaps this has turned into a dog pile, a common response is, this is what they signed up for, or that's the internet, what do you expect? There's this persistent belief that if you have a social media platform of any kind, you have signed up for not only endless criticism, but receiving endless criticism with stoicism and grace and never lashing out, never having an emotional response to when hundreds of people are making videos about you. But I think that those are just thought-terminating cliches. Saying this is what they signed up for excuses everything. You don't have to be critical of your own behavior, and you can brush away that cognitive dissonance in the back of your mind that starts saying that this backlash is disproportionate to the offense, particularly when sometimes that offense is simply the lack of an action. I don't think that most of the people that make call-in videos are doing so with malicious intent. I think that this algorithm is powerful and it steers the direction of our content extensively. And there's a lot of positive reinforcement for making those types of videos, and there's financial compensation for making those types of videos. I believe that most people who make call-in videos believe that they're doing the right and justified thing. And when you believe that you're doing the right and justified thing, it makes it easier to ignore the not so pleasant aspects of what you're doing. But audiences are hungry for take-down videos. And it's not because they care more about social justice issues than they ever have before. It's because people are struggling. So many people are struggling mentally, emotionally, financially, socially. And sometimes the fact that influencers get on these apps and live such publicly carefree lives feels like a slap in the face to people. And a lot of times people want to see that smile ripped off of the influencer's face. They want them to have to put their head down and walk back into the industry that they abandoned at the first time that they got a viral video. And I think it's important to acknowledge, no matter why you're making a video, why are people enjoying that video? Why are so many people watching it? And is it for the same reasons that you made it? Once you post a video, things are pretty much out of your control. You can beg your audience in that video to not send the person you're talking about hate, but that can be a confusing message when your video in and of itself can be perceived as hate. And you also cannot control people. Even if you are entirely unvindictive, not a vindictive, mean, or nasty bone in your body, there are people in your audience that are. And even if you say, please don't send this person hate, some people will see that as you specifically telling them to send them hate, because people hear what they want to hear. No matter how balanced and fair your video is, the chances are that your comment section will turn at least a little bit nasty. These comment sections tend to become safe spaces for anybody that's ever not liked the person you're talking about to air all of their grievances, even about a person's physical appearance. Some of the comments are clearly bullying, and when your video makes people feel comfortable saying those things in your comment section, you might need to ask yourself what it is about your content style that makes people feel they can talk like that about other people. I think that it's a slippery slope to go down to have call-in videos be your niche, because you are financially benefiting from taking other people down, whether or not those people deserve it. There's an urgency on TikTok because of the For You page, because of how topics will stay relevant for all of 3 days before everyone's collectively moved on from that. There's this sense that you need to create now. You need to create today. You need to fulfill that 3 to 5 times a week. And if you are making call-in videos 3 to 5 times a week, you might not be doing all of your research, because you are pushed for time. So you just take what other people say as fact without double checking it. And maybe your threshold for calling someone in lowers and lowers because you're running out of people to attack. Another risk of making call-in videos your niche is that you become the most likely person to get called in next. When your whole platform is based off of you being morally superior to so many people, then you will be held to an extremely high standard, and your actions will be gone through with a fine-tooth comb. And when you inevitably don't do enough research, don't do your due diligence, no one will feel any qualms about making dozens of videos about you. So what does it mean to take accountability? Accountable means required or expected to justify actions or decisions responsible. Accountability is something that is assigned to you. It is not something that comes from within you internally. The same way shame is an external emotion. It is something people put on you. It is something you perform for other people. Accountability is something that you perform for other people. The term accountability culture actually originated in the corporate world, and it was used to discuss employees not performing up to standard. So not even employees taking accountability for their mistakes, employees taking accountability for how their lack of action could have resulted in a loss of profits, which makes a lot of sense considering that so many accountability videos are asking people to take accountability for a lack of speaking up, for a lack of action that some people see as that person's responsibility to take. Accountability culture is a constant cycle of apologizing. It's apologizing for things even when you don't feel that you have anything to apologize for, which just leads people to ask for more apologies from you. While being canceled might be similar to being exiled in theory, if canceling people actually worked the way people want it to. Being held accountable is similar to being monitored 24/7. Every piece of content that you make is going to be examined for the moral purity that people are looking for from you. You are asked to perform constantly how good of a person you are, but the rubric for being a good person changes all the time. Some issues are held up as if you talk about this issue, you are a good person, and if you don't talk about this issue, you are not a good person, as if there are not so many things going on in the world right now. Accountability videos can feel satisfying, particularly if you don't really like the person that video is about, and if you don't think that they're a good person. And there are plenty of these call-in videos that are made about people that I'm not going to go to bat for. I guess the question I have is, what are these accountability videos accomplishing? And what are they supposed to accomplish? And those are the questions I'll leave you with for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it engaging and entertaining potentially, and informative. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you next time. You've got this.